I always thought about harming myself.
I'm shy. I struggled with making friends.
I never thought I could do anything. I have extremely low self esteem.
Lately, I've been eating my pain away. Just throw it back up. I've been struggling to lose weight. Somebody said I don't fit in just because I wear my hair the way I like it.
One out of five American girls suffer from mental health problems. Don't be that girl. Talk to someone.
Those thoughts I had are long gone, for I have a future I need to get to.
In order to get better, I had to do better. I learned how to make friends.
I believe in myself. That's when everyone else did, I set an example.
Instead of me eating everything, I started watching my calories. The weight is falling off.
I wanted to change my hair, but I decided it was for me. It's for me.
A PSA from the Curvy Girl Project.
Native Sun newspaper. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and we have a very, very enlightening and enriching half an hour of conversation with a young lady who is here from California, and her name is Miss Cassie Amos. But before we get started, we are filming live from the phenomenal cities of Detroit, Michigan, under the auspices of the Honorable Mayor Mike Duggan, as well as the phenomenal city of Highland Park, Michigan, under the auspices of the Honorable Mayor Glenda McDonald. And before we get started, too, I just want to, express to everyone that this is a time now, because on the 27th of the month, we started early voting. This is something that was voted in back in 2022, and a lot of people, I'm proud to say, are taking advantage of the early voting that's consisting of 9 days prior to the election day on August the 6th. So from the 27th up until the 4th, you can early vote. You can find out where your voting precincts are at, where you can do the early voting at. And then there's a day of respite for the clerks and the poll workers and the election workers to get everything ready for the election day, which everyone knows is going to be on August the 6th. And those of you that have already early voted, you are to be commended. Those of you that haven't, definitely find out where your early voting precincts are at, where you can do early voting. And those of you that may not get an opportunity to go and do the early voting, or those that haven't done their absentee ballots, that you can always go in and vote on election day. And the thing that we just want to make certain that everybody understands is that this is a very, very important primary. So regardless of whether or not, if you don't think that your vote matters, it does. It truly does. This is the presidential election, and it's very imperative that you vote in the primary, mainly because there's a lot of people that need your support now, not in November. So there are judges, there are people that are running for state rep, there are people that are running for U.S. Senate, running for the U.S. House of Representatives, and also for school board. So the important part that I ask everybody to do is make certain that you go and turn your ballot over. Now, everybody knows that there's a presidential election that is coming up on the ballot in November, and that's November the 5th to be exact. So now we have two contenders for the presidential election, and the vice president spot on the Democratic side has yet to be determined. So that's something that the presidential candidate that's on the Democratic side, that she will go and probably make a decision sometime the first, probably no later than the second week in August, before the Democratic convention. But the Republicans have already been established in terms of, say, the former president, 45, as well as his running mate. So it's also important, too, that we do not just vote in November, but we also vote in August. So again, I can't ask you enough to make certain that you do get out and vote next Tuesday, and find out if you haven't voted already, and find out, because the important part too is to make certain that you are still registered to vote. Because in some cases, people do not know. They may have been purged from the system depending on how long it's been since you last voted. So it would probably be best to probably go in and go an early vote, so you can find out whether or not, if you have been purged from the system, and then you could then go and re-register to vote. Okay, with that done, there's a young lady here in the studio with us. Her name is Miss Cassie Amos, and Miss Amos is how can I say it? She's a supermodel. I'm not going to say the word former, because she still has that supermodel appearance about her. She is not a grandmother, but she is a great mother. And she's also a mother, and she is a auntie, and we can put other terms of endearment on her. She is here. She's a native Detroiter, but she's visiting here from the Los Angeles, California area to visit with one of her sons, and she is then going to fly back after she makes a visit to some other people in another surrounding state. And she's got a lot of people that are here that are dying to see her. They've got folks that are lined up. So if the traffic is busy on 94, 96, 75, that could be the reason why, because everybody's rushing to try and go and meet with her and see her before she goes back to California. She is also a poet and a songstress, and she will dazzle you with some of the poetry that she has written over all these years. But I do want to welcome Miss Cassie Amos to Expose Under the Sun today.
Well, good morning, and thank you very much. It is my pleasure to be here, and I'm always happy to share. Unfortunately, I tell people, if you get me started, it's hard for me to stop. So with 400 pieces plus of poetry and probably 100 songs written, I've got something pretty much about everything. But one of my, if I were to use the term, flagship pieces was written for a politician. When Benny Napoleon was first running for Wayne County Sheriff, I was kind of commissioned to do a piece when he was going to do a woman's breakfast. And I don't particularly like it when people tell me what to write about, because if it's not my inspiration, sometimes I feel like it won't come out the way I want it to. But I've been blessed with a gift of rhyme and kind of an empathic ability to tell someone else's story as if it's mine. So this piece that I wrote for Benny Napoleon to present at a woman's breakfast is entitled Woman. God had made the world from beginning to man, saw creatures swimming, flying, and roaming the land. He nodded at the Holy Ghost and smiled at his Son. It's perfect, he thought, this world is now done. But the man that he'd made was very lonely indeed, with no one to talk to, care for, or even carry a seed. God agreed that Adam needed a mate in his life and created this woman named Eve as his wife. Now the plan was for God to take just a rib from his man, so that in forming this woman by his side, she would stand to be helper, partner, lover, wife, fulfillment of man's pleasures, his greatest joy in life. But certainly there are times when a woman stands under attack. You'd wonder with her steadfastness, did she get a bone from his back? To help her stand strong when all seems to fail, to weather the storms and to finally prevail. The load a woman carries can be so hard to bear. Seems few will listen, and even fewer will care, yet she holds her brood close and protects them from harm. Sometimes you think she got a bone from a man's arm. You've walked the hard roads, did what had to be done, never stopping from morning's first light until the setting of the sun. A strong stance you've taken, a straight path you've led. Are you sure you didn't get a bone from man's foot instead? You've turned into sheroes with courage beyond measure. Can't begin to name all of you whose accomplishments we treasure, conducting railroads, leading movements, doing more than your part. That maybe instead of bone, you got a piece of man's heart. But there's one thing uniquely yours that could not have come from a man, and that's the womb that God gave you in his superior plan. So of all the creatures God made, you are truly the most wondrous one, the only vessel able to bring to earth God's only Son.
That was very nice. I want to do, what do they do? They
do the
usually
snap, I
snap the
guess the
fingers and
snap?
stuff when they do that? Okay. So tell me, how long does it take to write some of your poetry?
Well, it is interesting. I very rarely have to struggle
Okay.
or take a long time to do things. And I say sometimes it's like taking dictation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the craziest, it's not crazy, it's a gift, but it's just the most amazing thing when I can get a thought and then I'm just scribbling as fast as I possibly can to capture it, because I'm already on the next verse and I haven't gotten the first one written down. So of course I utilize my voice recorder on my phone and my memo notations on my phone. And the same with the music as well. Sometimes, and I'm a bootleg keyboard player, but I play enough to create music. And
So you call it a bootleg.
I'm bootleg.
I just say
taught
it's more
myself.
so. I just say it's more so like playing by ear, but okay.
Playing by ear. I
Okay.
do play by ear because I can't read a note.
Okay.
So I'll hit a couple of chords and some words will come to me and I was like, well, you didn't write that because that sounds like a song already. So I am grateful for the gift, and yes, I've been kind of sitting on it a little bit, which brings me to another couple of pieces that I'm going to share with you, because we know that gifts are meant to be
Shared.
and multiplied. God plants a seed in us, and a seed is not just going to bring forth one seed. It's
It
going to
bears
bring
fruit.
forth, yes. So he said, be fruitful.
See, I could be a poet too. So go ahead. When you say that part, I could be a poet as well, but
You
go
could
ahead.
be a poet as well. I'm going to do a piece called Gifts. And with that being said, it took me a long time to actually embrace the fact that this was a gift. I grew up very insecure, letting people define who I was as opposed to walking in that. So it took a while before I could do that. So I'm going to share a piece called Gifts, and it is an admonishment to others that if you have something to share, do that. I've heard that the richest places on earth are the places where we bury our dead. For a wealth of knowledge and talents and gifts were buried inside of their heads. So now that knowledge is gone forever, who knows what good it could have done, what song or poem or story to be written, what battle over disease to be won. Each of us has our own unique gift, but it's up to us to answer our call, to do what we're placed here on this earth to do, though sometimes we'll stumble and fall. Don't ever waste the gift that God's given you. Don't let your talents end up in the grave. Accept them, embrace them, enjoy and enhance them. Just answer your call and be brave. If we all make sure that we exercise our gifts, then our cemeteries would be rich no more, and everything given us that was meant to be shared would make this world so much better than before.
I like that part when you said we don't want to enhance and enrich the cemeteries. That's something, and put more money into the morticians' pockets.
You know, I'm telling you, it is interesting, and it's not just me. I'm not the only one that kind of sits on things that they know they need to be sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a girlfriend who really gets on my case because I'm also a cookie baker. And she says, you could be a millionaire by now if you just shared those cookies because they're the best ever. And so...
And they've also already gotten a famous Amos.
And you know what? And mine are better than his.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
So I am... When I go back to LA, I have a girlfriend's daughter who does a bazaar kind of thing.
Okay.
And I'm going to share her table, and hopefully she will be able to allow me to do that. So I'm going to share, because I've been a procrastinator a little bit, I'm going to share a piece called Procrastination. And it's like Physician, Heal Thyself, or Teacher, Teach Yourself, but it's called Procrastination. Lord, deliver me from this procrastination, but let me understand the words that I pray, because now I know I can't protect myself from failure by starting this venture another day. You see, that tomorrow just never gets here, always waiting for the never arriving day, and I'm left with my safe little dreams intact, insulated from the realities of life's dismay. Most of us are guilty at some point in time of trying to preserve the integrity of our dreams. So rather than taking the chance and risking the failure, procrastination is safer, so it seems. Procrastination is no longer welcome here, can't live in this heart anymore. I've got too many things that I want to do, got to see what life has in store. So I will not put it off any longer. I won't let anything get in my way. To do what I need to start doing right now, no more dreams deferred. I'll start today.
You'll start today.
I'll start
Don't
today.
defer those dreams.
And today is a good day.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that everybody's so fortunate, that you have not deferred them, that you are starting today with all the people that are going to be blessed with your presence.
Amen. Well, I'm not in church, but I say amen an awful lot. Okay. I shared just a blurb about feeling insecure.
Okay.
I grew up, I've been this tall since what, 6th grade, 7th grade, taller than the teachers, the principal, everyone. And
Now, how did you feel?
so inadequate, so less than, and partly because people made me feel that way.
In what way?
They teased me every single day. I was olive oil and, oh my God, you're going to be a teacher. Look at the pencil sticking out of your shoes, and you know, you've got 2 threads hanging from your hem, and you can do the hula hoop with a Cheerio. I mean, it was just brutal. And my sister had hair down to her butt, and I didn't. And it was like, well, are you adopted? Well, why don't you look like, well, why aren't you like that? So every day there was something to make me feel like I was not enough. So I went to my 50th reunion, and it was still evident that I was not quite the A-list girl because I had to still find a table to sit at.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I wrote a piece called Invisible. And I think I want this to find its place to anti-bullying campaigns because there's so many children that feel less than when they should feel empowered and embracing who they are and what they can do. So again, this piece is called Invisible. You tried to make me invisible so that you wouldn't have to see the wounds from your nastiness cutting deep into me. You made me feel invisible, diminished me at my core, reduced me down to nothingness, my esteem lying on the floor. I allowed you to shame me, use me for sport and jest. I couldn't accept that I was worthy. I figured you knew best. So insecure in your own self, you used me in your attack so that no one would look your way or see the things you lack. I couldn't hear my mother when she told me not to care. How could she possibly understand? After all, she wasn't there. How could she know how any of this could feel? She was, after all, pretty perfect, sometimes too good to be real. But then she shared an awful truth that was difficult to say, that she as well was ridiculed when jealousy got its way. And so then one day something changed, though you weren't the one that did. I found that I had value after all the years I hid. I've overcome your meanness, the sneers and rudeness too. It made such sense when I realized the problem with you was you. I've made peace with that ugly past, finally understanding the why. I'm not invisible, but invincible, and my only limit is the sky.
That's nice.
I get some snaps.
We get some snaps on that one as well.
Snap.
Even get some snaps from Tim Smith. Just hear our engineer in the studio today. Question I want to ask you too is that, so if you were to give some advice to a young lady or even to a young man that might be going through what you went through as far as say about his or her self-esteem,
Okay.
what would you say to them?
I'm going to pull up a piece called Hear My Words.
Because we've got a few minutes left and we want to definitely make sure that we get this whole poem, in its entirety.
Hold on I'm so sorry. Yeah, I do have a piece called Hear My Words, and it is an admonishment to young people that there are some life lessons that you're going to learn, but if I can make them a little easier for you, then that's what I'd like to do.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that, as you're pulling this up, that are being teased, and then they realize too later that it's on them that made themselves lose that level of self-esteem. And
Right.
sometimes people can have that negative self-talk
Right.
that hurts them as well. So we've got about a few minutes left. So do we have time? Are you queued
Okay,
up, ready?
I found it, and here we go.
Okay.
It says, young sister, please hear my wisdom. Heed the words that I have to say. My only agenda is to help you, maybe offer guidance along the way. Your generation has more baggage than mine did. That is true. But if you listen, I can make this journey a bit easier traveling for you. Don't ever embrace the bitterness that always seems to follow pain. Instead, grow from your heartaches and the experience you'll gain. Be strong in the face of obstacles, knowing that you can make it through. Of all the women who've traveled this road, there was none any greater than you. Embrace the beauty of this world, see through eyes that really care. Be gentle and kind and understanding, being sure to always share. There will surely be some naysayer who will try to pull you down, but hold your head up high and show the inner strength you've found. There's one thing you can count on. Love won't always treat you kind. Let the hurt go and don't build resentment. The greatest gift is your peace of mind. Take pride in the person you've become, always striving for the best you can be. Don't worry that you don't look like others. Love your own unique identity. Nurture the friendships that you cherish. Don't ever take friends for granted, remembering that your trees of love grow from the seeds of love you've planted. Young sister, please hear my wisdom. Heed the words I have to say. Love others as you would be loved, and love will never slip away.
We get another. But now we've got about a couple of minutes left. Is there a last poem that you'd like to bestow upon us before we close this segment?
You know, let me quickly find it.
And while you're looking for it, if somebody would like to hear more of your poetry, do you have a website or do you have an email address that they can?
My email is CassieAmos113
CassieAmos113
at gmail.com.
at gmail.com.
I am in the process. I'm visiting my nephew next week who's going to give me a QR code. People can scan it, and I'll have pieces available to purchase. I've got empowerment pieces, breast cancer survivor pieces. I'm going to have spoken word pieces that can be downloaded as a song could be. So it's going to, CassieAmos.com will be up and running soon.
Well, please, what I would like for you to do is to tag me in that so that the listeners that saw the show or heard the show today can be able to get that. Okay, we've got a couple minutes left.
Okay, this is called Free Your Mind. Inherent freedom for all is a right upon which our country was found. But are you really living free, or are you by your own shackles bound? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness can be taken by a bullet or a knee, by those who were sworn to serve and protect. I have to wonder if they protect folks like me. The conditions under which our ancestors arrived could be described as brutal at best, adapting to the harshest conditions with the strongest surviving above the rest. So don't ever forget that your DNA was created from those strands, it's true. Instead of waiting for others to make you shine, your light should come from inside of you. Never create your own stumbling blocks, because the world offers plenty, you'll find. And the last thing you want to stumble over are the limitations of your own mind. Locked in a room with open doors, it'd be a tragedy if that happened to you. Locked in by your doubts and insecurities instead of letting your gifts shine through. What will your chapter of history say? What courage will your story reveal? What passion of yours will be unbridled? What dream of yours will become real? Open your mind, open the doors. There's no limitation to your soul. Reach for the stars and take God along, making true freedom your ultimate goal.
And that was perfect timing. We are about to wrap up this segment of Expose Under the Sun. My special guest today from California was Miss Cassie Amos, and we are fortunate to have been blessed with all of the poetry that you've shared with us today.
I'm so grateful to have been here. Thank you.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. And we'd love to have you come back
I'll
anytime.
do it.
You've got an open invitation.
All right.
You've been watching Expose Under the Sun, sponsored by the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and if you'd like to get a copy of the Detroit Native Sun newspaper, you can contact Ms. Valerie Lockhart, 313-496-5944. And if you'd like to advertise in the Detroit Native Sun newspaper, you can contact Ms. Lockhart as well, and she can let you know where all of the distribution sites of the Detroit Native Sun newspaper are at. Thank you, Tim, for being such a great engineer for the segment today. Thank you, Ms. Cassie Amos, for being a grace and beauty that you've endowed us with today on this show.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the day, and remember to get out and vote if you haven't voted already. Either early voting or vote on Election Day, August the 6th. Have a great rest of the afternoon.
Bye.
Here at the Full and Fabulous Curvy Girl Project, we don't just focus on health, beauty, and self-esteem. We also offer an amazing summer program for young ladies ages 12 to 18. For more information, visit our website at fullandfabulous.org. See you soon.